Hello, welcome. I'm Kivox. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Looks like we're gonna be reacting to Background NPC. Love her stuff as always. She's great. She's very articulate, way more articulate than I can ever be, because I kind of ramble like I'm doing now, and I have no idea what I'm about to say. So let's just jump into this reaction and see how this goes. All right, let's do this.
Once upon a time, a couple of weeks ago, I was scrolling my feed when I saw hot Snow White just absolutely slicing through enemies with a battle axe.
Dang, look at her go.
Screamed at me in all caps, "This game is for you. You are the target audience." I said, "Me?" They were right, of course, but in the moment, I almost missed the real fairy tale, a studio in the Grand 2-6 using the phrase target audience. When prompted, very sincerely.
Real quick, I get the arguments from both sides. I get the arguments that like against like the terrifically ugly main characters, and like you want something that's like nice to look at, or you can put yourself in the shoes of them, or somebody to look up to as you play the game. Like Arthur Morgan, rugged, handsome dude. You kind of look up to him as you play him, and you want him to do good. Like that's the reason a lot of people play the honor route, and they just want those scenes they see go viral online. And then, I mean, if you're playing a hot female, it's something to look at while you play. Or if you're a female, probably the same thing, something to look at while you play, but also maybe someone to look up to. I don't know. But I also get the argument the other direction, where it's like, you don't want everything that's like goon bait, like that. I mean, some stuff, yeah, fine. You gotta cater towards men because men are your main audience. But honestly, I'm just looking for just what's the word? Conventionally attractive main characters. Doesn't have to be like Bayonetta, but it also doesn't have to be like, I don't even know the name of the game's trailers that dropped recently, but like shaved head, nose ring type main character either. There's a good balance. Like, I don't know.
And I thought that phrase had perished, a relic of a forgotten age, something passed down only in legends by elder gamers around a campfire. But no, there it was, and it gave me a lot of hope. Unfortunately, though, this is not that kind of story, because not long after that, High Guard news graced my screen, and I learned that almost the entire team had been let go, and one of the devs had an answer for why. To absolutely no one's surprise, he said it was the gamers.
We were turned into a joke from minute one. Fired High Guard developer reflects on game's ill-fated launch and false assumptions after Game Awards reveal. Ooh.
So, one studio looks at players and said, "We made this for you." The other says, "You did this to us." And that tension, who you are making games for, whether or not you actually respect them, and whether you're willing to own it when things go wrong, is pretty much everything that we are covering as we look at some of the most recent gaming news of the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, we really got to get past this thing where these game developers are blaming the players for their failures. Like, yes, I mean, gamers can be toxic. People online can be toxic. But at the end of the day, if you make a good game, people are going to play it. It's as simple as that. On whatever side of the spectrum you land on.
Okay, in case you are not chronically online like me, which, good for you, I am trying to be better about it, let me catch you up really quickly. Free games launched last week. Mugenics, a cat tactics game that has already sold 1 million copies.
I've heard about that. I haven't looked into it at all. What is it about? A lot of people are talking about it. I haven't really looked into seen anything about it, but obviously it's got to do with cats. That's about all I know about it. Is it worth playing?
Relooted, which had journalists buzzing, peaked at a whopping 57 players, and Killerin, a new live service Square Enix game that seemingly no one had ever heard of, peaked at just under 900 players.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I've never even heard of that. It's Square Enix too, and I mean, Square Enix used to be one of my favorite companies, but to me, Final Fantasy died after the first 13. Other than online. I play Final Fantasy Online a lot.
Square Enix, if you are somehow watching this, your secret is safe with me. 1,200 Ubisoft employees recently went on a 3-day strike, massive layoffs, continued internal chaos, but don't worry guys, they have reassured us yet again that Assassin's Creed Shadows is still performing better than expected.
My goodness.
1348
I find that really hard to believe.
Photo released their demo, and the lead voice actress describes the experience as something everyone would love.
Real quick, because I wasn't recording or streaming when the whole Assassin's Creed Shadow thing happened. That one really bummed me out. And I think it happened around the same time as Dragon Age Veilguard. And I was a huge Dragon Age fan. I loved Origins. The second one, I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but I enjoyed the story. Inquisition was starting to kind of get away from what I normally play, but I still enjoyed it. And it had its issues, but I still enjoyed it. Veilguard was just terrible, which is a bummer because I love the series and it killed it for me. And that's how I feel about Assassin's Creed. I've been wanting it to go to Japan forever, and then this happened, and it's like they wasted it.
Overwatch had a whole situation involving a new character's face, a voice actress, and the phrase Ozempic chic. We'll be getting to that later.
What's with the cut eyebrow thing going on lately? I feel like everyone's doing it.
Ashes of Creation, potentially 140 million in fraud, and a founder whose professional background is multi-level marketing. So
yeah, I heard about this. I don't know a lot about it. So, I mean, I remember when it was first being talked about, it sounded cool. It sounded like something I'd play, but I don't know all the things going on behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, that tracks, honestly. And somehow, like I said at the start of the video, Highguard has gotten worse, much worse. So let's start there. Highguard, man, we knew things were bad a couple of weeks ago, but it has kept getting worse. 16 days after launch, most of the team was laid off. The studio said that they are keeping a core group to support the game, but now the website has kind of gone down, so support group is probably more accurate at this point. And then came the now deleted response from one of the laid off devs, and I genuinely wanted to hear it. What was the cause of all of this? What happened? Why no early access? Was it the generic art style and forgettable characters? The overhype from the Game Awards and Jeff Keighley? Maybe some honest reflection? Nope. He posted a full thread essentially blaming gamers. He said consumers—
And there it is. It's always the gamers. Every single time.
put absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard, and it worked. He also said innovation is on life support, which is a lot of words for it wasn't us. And remember, this is coming from a free-to-play hero shooter. He also included feedback from other industry people praising the game as proof that it was actually—
Can you imagine being a football team that consistently goes 0 and say you're in a college team and you consistently go 0 and 12 every year or whatever the season length is now. Consistently go 12. You've done it for 5 years straight. And then your fans don't show up and you start blaming the fans. It's not how it works.
actually good, which is basically the equivalent of bombing your final exam in school and then showing your professor screenshots of your group chat saying, "You're gonna crush it, bro," as evidence that you deserved an A. And when you stop to think about it, it is kind of crazy. Almost 100,000 people showed up and gave this game a shot, which is a massive deal that some indie devs could only dream of. But then losing 95% of them so quickly and telling me that you have no idea how that happened, I am sorry. Somebody in that building had to know. You were telling me nobody sent an anonymous email to leadership titled "Just a Thought" with a link to Concord's peak player count, because they either weren't allowed to say it or they had already seen what happens to people who do.
Yeah, the instant they do say something, they probably end up losing their job, or they get thrown into HR and get yelled at.
The dev also described the laid-off team as passionate indie devs who were being forced back into corporate, which sounds really devastating until you find out that the undisclosed lead financial backer for this whole passionate indie project was Tencent. Yes, that Tencent. And here is where it gets even more interesting, because Tencent's senior vice president also sits on the advisory board of—
Isn't Tencent the one that saves game companies by buying them out and then starting to make good games with them? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was only one thing that happened and they haven't done anything with it, but I'm not sure.
the Game Awards, the same Game Awards that gave Highguard the coveted final slot of the night, for free, mind you, while reportedly charging other studios up to $1 million for their spots. The same Jeff Keighley who was hyping this game up for days before launch like it was going to change everything. Now, I am not trying to jump to conclusions here. I am just saying that's a lot of coincidences sitting around in the same room together. A free-to-play live service hero shooter chasing a trend that has already buried how many studios at this point, and it gets the most coveted spotlight in gaming. And
can we move on from that genre? I feel the same thing about anime with isekai. feel like it's just flooded the market. It's like 90% of what it releases. Maybe not 90%, like 80%. It's just move on. Do something else. Think of something different. Or go to something old that's not really done anymore. It's kind of how I feel about movies also. Movies, like, you know, it hasn't been done in a long time, at least, well, Westerns. I love Westerns. And I feel like anytime there is something that's new, it just doesn't, it's not written well or just not promoted well.
And where exactly was the passionate indie vision?
Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent again.
The Battle Pass? I don't know. But what really gets me is that before launch, studio head Chad Greener told Polygon, whether it gets 1,000 people or 100 million people, it doesn't matter. And then, unfortunately, 16 days after launch, most of the team was laid off. It looks like it kind of mattered, Chad. But
Yeah.
the dev that posted that initial thread blaming gamers just lost his job. He lived through this echo chamber of toxic positivity, the poor leadership, the nobody in the building able to speak up culture that we talked about in my last video. He is the person that all of these bad decisions rolled downhill onto. And after all of that, his takeaway was still the gamers. He went through this whole thing and somehow came out on the other side, seemingly having learned nothing. And that is unfortunately extremely Concord of him. But if we look at Overwatch,
I don't think it's that they don't learn anything. I just think they have too much ego or pride. And they just refuse to believe it was them. Or I feel like in their head they know it was them, but they're never going to say that. I don't know. Maybe they think if they admit that it's them, that they'll never get future opportunities to do it again. In the market we live in, it's like blaming the gamers. If you can force the blame onto somebody else, you'll get the shot to make more games after that. I don't know, man.
And what they have been up to, you might be able to see a glimmer of hope for the future. Until they completely squashed it by bending the knee to the latest public outrage. Think Jon Snow and Daenerys if Daenerys were the undying Twitter mob that simply cannot let us have attractive female characters. Real quick before that, a quick break for today's sponsor. My personal finances used to stress me out.
Rocket
a
money.
lot. I was never a math girl, and that feeling of, I don't want to know, but I kind of need to know. That was me. I was super disorganized. I would try keeping a written budget, but then just not look at it. But having something that just tracks everything for you automatically makes a huge difference. And that is basically what Rocket Money does. The app links to your bank accounts, credit cards, everything, so you can see exactly where your money is going without doing all of that work yourself. It just makes it so much easier
That seems definitely helpful, but what worries me is like what happens like when their information gets leaked or hacked.
to track your goals, see what you owe, plan for savings, all in one singular place without having to log into 5 different things. And it finds subscriptions you forgot about and lets you cancel them right in.
That's the big one. That's a good one. I mean, I feel like I would do this if I would like subscribe to this temporarily to do that and then say bye to it. But it does seem helpful. It's just the security stuff kind of worries me a bit.
App itself. No phone calls or digging through old emails. Just a few taps. Thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. If you would like to check it out, head to rocketmoney.com/NPC.
There you go. If you do decide to use it, there you go. Use that.
Links in the description. You can start using it for free and unlock more features with premium. So speaking of accountability, or lack of it, Blizzard actually did something shocking recently. They took it. They admitted Overwatch 2 wasn't working how they intended.
Oh,
did
man.
a full rebrand, a massive content push, and it worked. Numbers went up.
Good
People
for
were
them.
genuinely excited, myself included. I almost re-downloaded the game, but then I came to my senses just in time. Part of all of this, though, was introducing a new hero for this season, Onrun. She looks great in the cinematic, looks good in game, but people noticed that she didn't quite match the original version that Blizzard had showed off. That's fair enough. The, hey, can we get her a little closer to her original design request started popping up, and I didn't really think too much of it at the time, but then Onron's voice actress posted a video calling this a hill worth dying on, and she used the phrase Ozempic chic. That is when it became pretty clear what was actually happening, because what started as a reasonable, hey, can we get her a little closer to the original from actual players, got hijacked almost immediately by a completely different crowd with a completely different opinion.
Every time,
One
man.
that wasn't about accuracy at all, but about making her less attractive. And the voice actress essentially confirmed it herself when someone in her comments told her to push the agenda with the character, and she replied, "I shall." And then I started seeing other complaints pop up. The face is wrong, the message is wrong, the outfit's too tight, she needs to be covered up more. And then suddenly, the people who just wanted closer to the original design are now sharing a hashtag with people who never wanted her to look good in the first place. I do just want to pause on the original design point for a second because that is so funny to me. These are the same types of people who told us we were being weird when we noticed Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2, who said, "Why do you care? It's just a game, relax," when people pointed out Aloy in the Second Horizon, who told us to stop objectifying women every time someone mentioned the female character changes
You're objectifying an object. They're not real women. It's video games. They don't have feelings. They don't have thoughts. They're code. That's it.
in the Capcom remakes. But the point is, we were the problem for noticing. And then at the same time, Leon Kennedy gets the full glow-up treatment. Female devs at Capcom
Imagine that.
are lovingly worshipping his neck wrinkles, and he is actually getting full-on thirst trap videos from official Capcom accounts. And the response has been universally positive, which is good. But the rule is apparently original designs matter unless the original was too pretty. Blizzard, you just got back on track by actually listening to your player base. Do not immediately reverse that by surrendering to the mob. Now, if Overwatch
It's like, oh no, my boyfriend's video game girl is prettier than me. He's going to leave me for her. Like, I don't know what the deal is, man. They just need something to fight because they got nothing else to do. They got no religion, no nothing. So that becomes their religion. They just like fighting online and virtue signaling and pushing stuff that they probably don't even really care about. They just like to make themselves look good to the side she wants to be a part of.
was accountability getting hijacked mid-comeback. Ashes of creation is what happens when all of this is completely thrown out the window and respecting your players was never even part of the plan. I have been going down this whole rabbit hole for the last few weeks on this, and it goes incredibly deep, like multiple levels of fraud, embezzlement, and manipulation deep, allegedly. And I am not really an MMO person either. I did some Elder Scrolls Online a couple years
I tried Elder Scrolls Online. It's all right. I mean, for it is what it is. I mean, it's okay. I prefer Final Fantasy Online. Elder Scrolls Online was still fun. I just felt restricted. I don't know if that's the right word. It's hard to say because it's been a while since I played it, so it's kind of hard to elaborate my feelings at the time. But I enjoyed it for a while, and then I got bored of it once I got bored of it, I never went back. It's not like Final Fantasy Online where I'll get bored of it for like a month, so I'll take like a short break, and then I can jump right back in and enjoy it again. Wasn't like that with Elder Scrolls Online. I enjoyed it the first time, and then I kind of got over it and never went back.
years back, and a little RuneScape back in my church youth group
RuneScape!
era. But Ashes was supposedly the next
I
big
used to love RuneScape, man.
MMO. It was kickstarted back in 2017, raised 3.2 million, had nearly a decade of development, and the community was completely a ride or die for this. It hit Steam Early Access in December of 2025, so just a couple months ago, and 52 days later, the entire studio is gone. Now, from what I have learned in my research, on the surface, this normally wouldn't be anything too crazy. MMO Kickstarters are kind of cursed, actually, so many of them have had issues over the years, and it's pretty rough. But for Ashes of Creation,
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like any Kickstarter you get involved in, it's a risk. You're kind of gambling a little bit, because I'm sure there's a lot that don't follow through even when they reach their goal, because they realize they didn't have enough money or wasn't enough money that they asked for, or they just don't have the resources. I don't know. I feel like Kickstarter was a good idea and thought, but I just feel like it's not a good thing. I don't know. You're gambling with your money essentially and giving it away for something that might not ever happen.
if you start digging deeper and pulling at some of the threads, the whole thing just unravels very quickly. Starting with the founder, Stephen Sheriff, who had zero game development experience before this. His background was multi-level marketing.
Oof.
MLM to MMO. Yeah. So for years, he publicly claimed that he had personally invested millions of his own money because he believed in this project so much, which naturally inspired the community to open up their wallets too. But now an investor has come forward claiming Steven never put in a single dollar. The real money was roughly $140 million from outside investors, and there was supposed to be a board overseeing all of this, holding meetings, keeping everyone accountable, but apparently they never even held a single meeting, which makes complete sense once you learn that the board was essentially just Steven, overseeing himself, reporting to himself, presumably giving himself glowing performance reviews and a very reasonable bonus. It is giving.
What's that Obama meme where he's putting a medal on himself? That's that guy.
I am the Senate. It just completely baffles me. How was he getting away with this for so long? Was anyone seriously looking into it? Why was everybody just taking him at his word? We also know that players spent tens of millions on cosmetics for a world that wasn't even finished yet. And I don't want to pile on people who lost money here, but buying an outfit for a game that does not fully exist yet is a level of trust and optimism that I can only dream of having about anything in my own life. And when it all came crashing down last month, Steven decided to resign in protest. He blamed the board, which again is basically just him, for unethical decisions. And since the game technically launched for 52 whole days in early access, Kickstarter refunds are now kind of unclear, but I don't know how he's gonna get away with this. Because here's what 9 years got us. 3.2 million from Kickstarter backers, tens of millions spent by players on cosmetics, 140 million allegedly raised and unaccounted for, and 123 people who showed up every day and built this thing, losing their jobs in a single afternoon.
Can they sue the people who like donated to this? Like, it's one thing when you donate and whoever you donated to just couldn't do it, whether it be resources or people or whatever. It's another thing when you purposely scam people. So I wonder if they can sue them. Anybody who donated.
And that doesn't even get into all of the asset moving Steven allegedly did at the end of last year, which really makes it seem like he was trying to cover every exit.
I guess they'd probably need proof.
It is pretty diabolical and almost impressive in a super gross way. It's clear that the real priority here was never the game. It was never the community that funded it. And everyone who gave money to this deserved so much better than a founder who was essentially running an MLM with a fantasy skin on top. So after all of that, high guard pointing fingers at the 100,000 people who actually showed up, Overwatch's comeback nearly getting kneecapped before it could find its footing, Ashes being whatever Ashes was, we do keep coming back to one thing: accountability. Because look at what happens when you take it. Sean Murray could have posted a thread after the whole No Man's Sky debacle, blamed toxic gamers, and made it everyone else's problem.
Yeah, and now, from what I understand, that's a great game. I haven't played it, but people enjoy it. Same thing with the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Remember that first Sonic design that dropped? Fans went crazy, and they fixed it. And now people love that movie and the sequel and the one after.
Instead, he just went quiet and started fixing it. And now we are at free updates for 10 years and the game is beloved. Balatro, one guy in the Discord every single day taking notes because he said the players knew more about how to play the game properly than he did. 5 million copies sold. Satisfactory spent 5 years in early access listening. Their community manager said it best.
I don't think I've ever heard that
Sometimes
one.
it is good to just listen to what people are asking for and give them that. Eugenics made a cat game for a decade and sold 1 million copies.
Do I need to play this?
Knight's Path, the
Eugenics?
upcoming medieval game, is now at 300,000 wish lists.
I am curious about that game. I might get that depending on how it is. I'll probably, when it comes out, I'll wait a bit and see what the reactions are and maybe see how it plays. Maybe I'll get it and play it on stream. We'll see.
All these examples have looked at their audience and said, "We see you, we are making this for you."
If it even runs. 'Cause, like, if I tried playing Oblivion on stream a while back, and it just, between VTube Studio, Streamlabs, and that game, my computer couldn't handle it. I do not have the best computer.
Here it is. None of these developers had the biggest budgets. None of them had the loudest marketing. As far as I know, they didn't have fancy consultants telling them what modern players want, and they've not been using their games as a funnel to smuggle in their own personal ideologies. They were just making something good for the group of people who would love it and holding themselves accountable to make sure that is the case. So, like I have said to the industry so many times, we are tired of being blamed for your mistakes, but we are so ready to be back in your corner. We will support the games and
Of course we are. We want good games. So we'll support people if they can do that for us. We're so tired of just having such a minimal like game selection. Like it's usually, I don't know. I feel like I haven't played a new good game since probably Baldur's Gate 3. And before that, it was probably Red Dead 2. And then before that, I don't even know. Before that, maybe, God, beats me. I can't even think that far back, to be honest.
Devs who care about their work and care about their players. We will defend their games in comment sections like we are on their salary, but you do have to meet us halfway. Take the notes, hear the feedback, and when something does go wrong, just be honest about it. Because the truth is, some games can survive a bad launch, but none of them can survive making enemies of their own players.
True.
I started this video with a fairy tale, and it turns out that the studios that treat their players like the villain do not get a happy ending.
Imagine that.
If they do treat us like the hero, they might just stand the test of time. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. What studio do you wish would just take the notes?
BioWare, Ubisoft, Square Enix for their actual like main games, not the online game. Let's see. I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm sure I'm missing a lot, but there's a lot out there.
Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.
Awesome. Guys, check her out, man. She's great. All her stuff's always been great. Yeah, subscribe to her. Subscribe to me if you haven't. Like her video. Like mine if you haven't. And yeah, I'm hoping to do more in the future and keep doing this. I don't know how often I can do this. Like this is kind of a part-time thing because I do have full-time work outside of this. But I do what I can. Please jump in. And if you have any tips, leave some down below somewhere. Because I can definitely use them if they're something I can actually do, because I don't really have money to, if it's like spending money on something that I probably can't do. But tips for streaming, tips for making videos, whatever it may be, please let me know. And yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for joining in, and bye.